Hey friends, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be taking you through the step-by-step process of building a marketplace business with no-code tools. This video here today is going to be part of a 6-part series where I'm going to be introducing you to a brand new no-code tool in each episode that I'm currently using to power my freelancer marketplace, Unicorn Factory. Now, the tool that we're going to be focusing on today is, in my opinion, the only tool that you're going to need in order to get started, and that tool is Webflow. Now, there are a few things that we're going to be going over in this video. First of all, how I use Webflow for the Unicorn Factory. Then we're going to be going over how you can get started building your first page in Webflow. So it'll be a little bit of a crash course into how it works. Then we're going to be talking about how you can use the Webflow CMS to create tons of unique landing pages. Then I'm going to show you some secret tricks that will allow you to level up your Webflow game fast, even if you are a complete beginner. And then we're going to wrap things up with the exact game plan that I'd recommend anyone start off with if they are starting at zero. So we've got a lot to cover. Let's dive straight into the first point, which is to go over how I am currently using Webflow on Unicorn Factory. Okay, so Webflow is the tool that I am using for my marketing site. So whenever you Google Unicorn Factory New Zealand or Unicorn Factory Canada and you come across my page, it will take you to these types of pages here where you'll be able to see different landing pages with different freelancers on them. You'll be able to see an overview of all of the different case studies that are on the site. And my entire marketing site is essentially created in Webflow. Now, the reason why Webflow is the tool that I use for this is because, one, it's a visual development tool, which means that as someone that can't code, I actually like to see what I'm doing and I'm building, and Webflow is perfect for that. The second reason is that it has huge SEO benefits. Now, I know that a lot of other website building tools allow you to build your site visually as well. However, I have found when it comes to implementing best SEO practices, Webflow is really second to none. And then finally, another thing that I have found makes Webflow uniquely strong for building marketplace businesses is their Webflow CMS. Now, I'm going to be diving into that into more detail in just a second, but what the Webflow CMS allows me to do is to create unique landing pages for different categories that I'm targeting. And that ultimately ties back into the SEO benefits that I get from Webflow, where I can essentially start ranking on Google for a variety of search terms, like in this particular case, Canadian freelance designers. Now, out of all of the tools that I'm going to be introducing you to over this 6-part series, Webflow is probably the one that has the largest learning curve. However, if you stick to it for a few weeks and get the basics of it all, you'll find how incredibly powerful it is for building marketing sites. Now, in a nutshell, and this is definitely not going to be the entire rundown of how Webflow works, there are a few components to it. The first thing is that you have to start off by assembling the structure of your page. Now, typically, you'll start off with a section. So if we're going to have a look at the Unicorn Factory, you can see that the entire marketing page breaks down into multiple sections. So this section here is the hero section. The next section would be the testimonial section or the social proof section. Then we have this section here. And really, when you're assembling these pages, it's essentially stacking different sections on top of each other and then populating each section with relevant content. Now, the first part of it is that you would go ahead and you'd add different elements that you'd want on your page. For example, you'll have a section, then inside of our section we'll have a container, and then as soon as you've got that done, you can start adding things like text elements and button elements and so on. And this is really the first part of it. It's the assembling of your structure. Now, the second part to building these types of sites in Webflow is about applying styles, essentially. And the way that you apply styles in Webflow is you select your elements that you want to style and you then apply what's called a class name. So in this particular case, if I want to make my button red, what I would do is I'd select my button, then I'd navigate my way over to what's called the styles panel. And now in here where it says style selector, what I would do is I would give my button a name. So we're going to just go ahead and we'll call it red-button. And now as soon as I've applied this class, it's essentially like creating a rule for your website. You can go and set the rules for your website. So in this particular case, I'm saying, hey, whenever I'm using the class name red button, I want you to go ahead and I want you to use this color on my buttons. And also you can say, and I also want you to make sure that the font is bold, and I also want the font to be, at least say Lato. Now, whenever you whenever you add another button to your website, by default, it won't have any class names applied to it. But if you then go ahead and say, hey, I want this particular button to have the rule of button, then you can select, for example, your existing red button, and it will automatically take the settings that you have set, or the styles that you have set for that particular element, and it will apply them. And so in a nutshell, that is kind of how Webflow works. Step number one is assemble the different components and elements in your page, and then go through the process of styling each element. And so essentially, when you then look at, say, a finished version of a home page, what you can see is that I have all of my different elements on the left side, and I've got my styles that basically set what a particular page looks like. Now, if this seems a little bit overwhelming and where do I even start, do not worry. I am going to show you a tool that you can use in just a second that will completely speed up your process for getting this up and running. But the truth of the matter is, there is a little bit of a learning curve involved with it, but if you just stick to the basics and kind of practice with it frequently, you'll get the hang of it in no time. I'm pretty sure it only took me about 2 months, and once you understand how it works, not just will this allow you to build multiple awesome websites for your business ideas, it's also a super monetizable skill as well, so that's another added benefit from learning it. And that brings me to the next part about Webflow that you should know about, and that is the CMS. Now, once you've gotten a hang of how you can design pages and basically set up different pages like this, then what you'll be able to do is take advantage of what's called the Webflow CMS. Now, the Webflow CMS is essentially a feature that allows you to create one single static page, like in this case I have for my freelancing page, and then you can use the internal database tool, the CMS, to dynamically populate this template page with different records. So if I jump into my CMS, you can see here I've got a collection for freelancers, and in here I just have a simple table where I can upload things like my profile picture, job title, my bio, all of those types of things, and that will then allow me to go ahead and create all of these pages. And so as we go through different pages, you'll be able to see that it simply takes the information from another record, dynamically populates it, and that's essentially what allows you to create the look and feel of these marketplace sites that has all of these different pages. Now, another example of how I'm using the Webflow CMS is through things like my category template page. Now, whenever you see different marketplace businesses, you'll be familiar with all of the unique landing pages that they have, where you see all of the different freelancers that are listed on the site. And this here works in a very similar way. You just create one template page, and then all you need to do is create a CMS collection that you can populate with data, and then you can simply populate it with things like a unique hero title, a unique description. You can set filters for the types of sellers that you display on your landing pages. You can also customize frequently asked question sections to cater specifically to that landing page. And besides it creating a way better user experience for people who are visiting your website, you'll also get excellent SEO benefits from it, because Google will start picking up on all of the different search terms and all of the content on your page, and will therefore recommend it on their search pages. Now, if you are brand new to Webflow and you log in for the very first time, you might look at something like this and be like, oh, where do I even start? And to be honest, when I started, I was in the exact same boat, but eventually I figured it out. However, since then, the ecosystem around Webflow has gotten a lot better, which means that there have been a whole bunch of third-party companies who've actually developed tools that make it a lot easier for beginners to get started. One of the tools that I highly recommend checking out is a component library called Reloom. Reloom. Now, the way that Reloom works is that once you sign up, they'll just give you access to a whole bunch of pre-built components. So for example, here you have an overview of all of these different hero sections. They've got designs for different, feature sections, CTA sections, basically anything that you would expect to see on a homepage, you can essentially find in here. And by the way, they've got a whole bunch of additional features that you should check out. I'll link to a video that I made on Reloom down below. But in short, what you can do is you can jump into your Webflow project. You would start off with what's called a style guide that allows you to essentially set default rules for how you want your site to look. For example, what font you want to use, what your default colors are, all that kind of stuff. And as soon as you've set up your style guide, then what you can do is you can just simply create pages, for example, a home page, and then copy and paste components from Reloom directly into your project. So let's say, for example, we want to use this page here. Then what we can do is we can just jump in here, copy it, jump back into our Webflow project, paste it, and that essentially will speed up the process for you getting the structure of your website ready as soon as possible. Now, there are a whole bunch of additional tools that you'll be able to use to do more advanced things. I'll make more videos about some of those tools in the future, but for now, one tool that I do recommend checking out is Reloom, simply because it will speed up the process for you getting, the structure of your page right, and it will allow you to get whatever you're working on live a lot faster. With all of that being said, now that we've covered the basics of Webflow, let's dive into how I would build the MVP for a marketplace business. But before I do, let me quickly tell you about the MVMP Labs, which is my online community where I help first-time founders build their MVP with no-code tools. Now, I started this community to basically, one, keep track of all the different things that I was working on, things that I was learning, and two, to also help people who want to build job boards, marketplace businesses, directories, kind of get the hang of how these tools work a lot faster. So what you'll get access to is, number one, the community of marketplace founders and directory builders that are on a similar journey to you. You'll also find a whole bunch of tutorials where I basically walk you through the process of using some of these tools. And then there are also courses that take you through the entire step-by-step process for creating some of the things that we talked about. One of the things is how to build a dynamic landing page engine, which will help you build out the first version of your marketplace. And so what you'll learn over the course of 8 to 9 videos is, first of all, how you create a basic landing page in Webflow using Reloom. Then I'm also going to be diving into how you can use different automation tools and Airtable to automatically generate landing pages. Then I'm also going to show you how you can tie AI tools into that workflow so that you can generate all of the copy for your landing pages, and basically show you some really fun little tricks that will really allow you to take your workflows to the next level. This is something just for anyone who is looking for a faster way to get going. But with that being said, I'll leave a link to it in the description down below, but let's dive into the strategy for building your marketplace MVP in Webflow. Okay, so let's assume you have an idea for a talent marketplace. What's the best place to get started? Let me start by telling you what you shouldn't do. And one of the things that I see people do most frequently, and that is to completely overcomplicate the first version of your platform. Now, what I typically see people do who want to build these types of sites is look at other more established marketplace businesses like Upwork or Fiverr. They then go and have a look at all of the different features that they have, all of the different talent that they have on the site, and then they try to create an abstraction of that. The problem with that is that these platforms have been around for ages, and the reason why they've built a lot of these things is because of some of the things that they've learned about how people use their platform. You are not at that stage yet, and so by trying to replicate what some of the more established players are doing, you're basically creating a huge roadblock before you've even gotten started. One of the ways that I think is the hands down easiest way to get started is to simply start off with a simple version of your site that allows customers to get in touch with you. Now, on the Unicorn Factory, you can see here what my site looks like. And as soon as someone clicks on the Hire Now button, it takes them to a page where they can then go ahead and create a client account. And as soon as they've created a client account, they'll get access to a portal where they can then start self-serving their marketplace. And so it's kind of designed for people to basically post jobs themselves, hire freelancers themselves. But before you even get get to that stage, you want to get to the point where you can first of all find out whether or not people are actually interested in what you're doing. And the way to do that is to just focus on building 3 key pages. Page number 1 is the homepage. So really what you want to do is you want to create a simple landing page where you explain what it is that you do, who you are, how you're different from other people in the competition, how it works, and why they should choose you, that type of stuff. As soon as you've got your 1-page landing page up and running, you want to create a simple call to action that makes it easy for your customers to reach out to you. So if they click on the start hiring button, instead of sending them to a portal that you haven't even created yet and that will take you ages to create, you just take them to a simple form in Webflow where people can leave their contact details. So in this particular case, because I'm building a freelancer marketplace, what I'm doing is I'm creating a simple form that basically asks people for their phone number and email and the name of their company. I ask them how they heard about us, and then they can simply describe to me what it is that they are looking for. Now, as soon as they have submitted all this information, what will happen is that information will get sent to me and I'll get a notification about it in the back end, but then it will also redirect them to a page where they will be able to schedule a call with me. And so the way it works is they just go and select the date and time that works for them, and you can use cal.com, the tool that I'm using here, for free, and you can just integrate it on your site. And the goal essentially becomes to jump on a call with your customers so that you can start helping them immediately before your entire platform is built. Now, there are a few reasons why this works particularly well for marketplaces where the buyer is a business. And number one is that it allows you to get something live a lot faster. It allows you to get feedback from the market a lot faster. And essentially, you can get something like this up and running within a day. Number two, by talking to your customers, you actually get to hear from them directly what it is that they're trying to do, what they have tried, what has worked, what hasn't worked, and that will make it a lot easier for you to then in the future build a self-serve version of the platform that you're creating. So you'll be able to write the copy based on the conversations that you're having with your customers, which will ultimately lead to more conversions down the line. Word of mouth will be a lot better, and ultimately you'll know exactly what pain points to touch on. The next key advantage is that doing it manually is the fastest way to start monetizing your site before the entire platform is built. Oftentimes people try to go all in on building the platform that they have in mind, but whether you are a beginner or you are somewhat advanced, it is just going to take time and money. And ideally, what you want to do is you want to know before you have to make that commitment whether or not people are actually interested in what you're doing. And so the way that you can monetize it from day one is by concierging your service. Now, in this particular example with the Unicorn Factory, when a client schedules a call with me and we go through the process of figuring out what it is that they're trying to do, what kind of freelancers would be a good fit, I will go out and I will manually find them talent that might be a good fit for their project. And what I'll do is I will simply charge them for finding that talent. So what I have done here is I've basically created a manual version of what it is that I am going to automate or turn into a self-serve platform in the future. This allows you to make money a lot faster that you can then reinvest into marketing and growth, and it will put you in a way better position when it comes to actually validating your market or your business idea with paying customers. And a way that you can take that even further is once you get to the point where you are attracting certain types of customers to your site and you start to get a feel of what types of services are in most demand, then you can start using the Webflow CMS to create category or skill specific landing pages. And so what I mean by that is, let's say for example, you're noticing that a lot of the customers that you're connecting with are predominantly looking for graphic designers. What you can do now is you can create your template inside of the Webflow CMS and create a landing page all around graphic design. Now, when you start reaching out to certain types of businesses, not just are you sending them to a generic page that is about hiring freelancers, it addresses the problem that they might have directly, which is to hire a graphic designer. And you can do this in so many different ways. You can, for example, create a collection for different types of customers. For example, if you're targeting marketing agencies specifically, you can just simply use the Webflow CMS to create a simple landing page for marketing agencies. You can build all of your copy around that, and then you can just send cold outreach emails to those businesses and ask them whether or not they are interested in jumping on a call with you. Ultimately, there are a lot of things that you can do, but the key starting point for you is going to be to just focus on building those first 3 pages. Number 1, create a homepage. Articulate what it is that your marketplace does, who it's for, and how you're different from other people in the competition. Number 2, create a simple page where people can contact you. If you are building a marketplace for hiring freelancers, then make it a page where they can simply post their project details. And then finally, get them on calls so that you can hear out of their own mouth what it is that they're after. And so that means adding a scheduling page as a redirect page after a form is filled out. This is a strategy that I have used. It works beautifully. It's a strategy that I know a lot of other people have used. It works beautifully. And so don't overcomplicate the first version of your platform. Keep it simple. Let people know what it is that you're working on, and then just start getting it out to people. I hope this video was useful. In the next video, we're going to be diving into another tool that will allow you to get more organized. So as things start to scale up, as you start to systematize things, you're just going to need to get organized. And that's what we're going to be covering in the next video. But other than that, I want to thank you so much for watching the entire video. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.